in '68, some friends of mine at school had been doing this summer gig at a resort hotel on Cape Cod, the Seacrest, and their bass player was on the road to somebody else, and they knew I played guitar a little bit, so they said, well, man, get an electric bass and come do this gig with us. So I said, okay. And I went back home in Troy, Missouri. I went to Missouri Bob Delalloy's music store and bought this little Japanese bass for $75. I don't even know what kind it was. It looked like a Hofner kind of hollow body. Terrible. The first good bass I had that fall was a Fender Precision, 62 Precision that I still have. But yeah, I've had a bunch of basses over the years, and I still like the Precision. I play mostly 5-string these days, just because people are used to it, and it's a little more possibilities. Just for sentimental reasons, it's probably that old Precision. I mean, if I was going to have to get rid of everything but one, that's the one I'd keep, that first Precision I got. But I don't know, they all do different things. I have a trunk with probably 10 basses in it that I take to sessions. I usually use the same one. I don't tend to really get that emotionally attached to most of my basses. There are exceptions. The ones I've had forever, there are memories associated with them. The ones I used with Toto, which most of that stuff was a 64 jazz bass and a 62 Precision. And some of it was a Yamaha BB. But, those are important to me, though I don't play them that much anymore. So the basses I use day in and day out are pretty much tools, I leave them in the trunk of the car and don't worry about them. The coolest thing for me was when I put a rack together and started bringing my own preamp and limiter and EQ to sessions, which I never did in L.A., and part of the reason I started doing it was there was a point at which all the tube gear became passé, and everybody wanted transistor mics and transistor da-da-da, and so a lot of the studios didn't have LA2As or Fairchilds or any of the hip limiters and EQ, and then it's a real comfort factor knowing you're bringing your sound with you and you don't have to depend on the engineer. It's a real drag to go in and not have a good sound, I go from the bass into a Telefunken preamp, out of that into a LA2A limiter, out of that into I think it's an ME3P or ME13 or something, Tube Tech mid-range equalizer, and then out of that into a Tube Tech broad-range equalizer, and then to tape or Pro Tools. And if there's any one piece of gear that I like the best, it's probably the LA2A, because even if you're not compressing or limiting it, it does a thing to the bass sound. It makes it warmer and a little fatter, which kind of goes along with the kind of sound I like to get. If there's any one piece of gear that I would put above everything else, I mean, you can get by with different preamps, and basses anymore have onboard EQ that's usable, but the compressor is probably my favorite toy. And there are some good ones out there. The Tube Tech's kind of a copy of the LA2A, and it's really good too. That's just my preference. A lot of guys like Avalons and other things, but